In the wake of the global pandemic that is COVID 19, there has been a proverbial race for finding a vaccine or an effective treatment that will allow humanity to move beyond this very difficult time in its history. With the demand for such a potential product being so high, there have been mounting fears that whatever institution manages to create the COVID 19 vaccine will be able to charge exorbitantly high prices for it. This would place any potential vaccine or treatment beyond the reach of the poor people in the poorest countries who will likely be the ones who need it the most. There are, however, a number of mechanisms that countries can utilize in order to ensure that should such a treatment or vaccine come into being, this doesn't necessarily become a reality that the poorest of their own countries will be able to access a potential COVID 19 vaccine. One such mechanism is the utilization of what's called public health flexibilities, which are effectively mechanisms that a country can utilize in order to exempt certain products from being subject to intellectual property rights protection. The purpose behind these flexibilities is that intellectual property is often what gives inventors and innovators exclusive rights and therefore an effective monopoly to charge whatever price they want for a product. And a country, if it has such mechanisms in its law, can choose to engage in certain activities which would make that product more widely available. For instance, a country can choose to allow what is known as a compulsory license on a COVID 19 vaccine, which would allow for a generics manufacturer to produce an alternative version of that particular product that would be more easily accessible. Whether the utilization of public health flexibilities is, however, a feasible mechanism is as yet untested because, based on recent research in the African context, there are still a number of factors which have hindered their usefulness, including an absence of political will. Therefore, whether or not flexibilities can ensure African countries and poor countries around the world can make a potential COVID 19 treatment or cure available to their people is something that will depend on whether African states are willing and able to utilize these flexibilities.